Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar about our short stays with the Good Life Abroad in London and Edinburgh. A quick bit of housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, and you'll get a copy of the recording tomorrow by email. At the end of our conversation, we'll have time for questions and answers. We'll be using the Q&A box in Zoom. You look for the Q&A icon in your Zoom toolbar, and you can submit questions. So please do not raise your hand. Do not write in the chat box. We will not be calling on raised hands, and we will not be answering questions in the chat box. We'll be using the Q&A box that's part of the Zoom toolbar. So without further ado, let's jump into this. I'm Andrew Motiwalla, the founder of The Good Life Abroad, and I'm joined today by our community manager for the UK, Toby Withnell. Hi, Toby.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, everybody.
Toby, can you just tell everyone a little bit about you and why you're part of Good Life Abroad?
Yes. So, well, obviously, I'm Toby. So, I have spent most of my time in London, probably for the last 40 years. I grew up in India and Wales, but for the last sort of 40 years, have been based in London with my family. I've got extensive career really in the travel and events industry, and then sort of left that a few years ago and set up my own touring company. And now do a lot of tours around France, Spain, Italy, and obviously around the UK, particularly London and Edinburgh, Scotland. So very well versed in the UK, and also my daughters keep me very updated. I have four daughters, and they keep me completely updated with what's going on, both actually, funny enough, in Edinburgh and in London in terms of the new openings and restaurants and events. So they keep me up to speed.
Great. Thank you, Toby. All right. So let's back up for just a second. For those of you who are not totally familiar with the Good Life Abroad program model, I just want to explain it briefly, and then we'll go into more detail. The Good Life Abroad has our month-long signature programs, but we also have a line of programs called our 2-week short stays. And today we're talking about our 2-week short stays programs that we have in both London and Edinburgh. And these are 14 nights, 15 days. And the way the program works is that it's fundamentally an independent experience, but you have a community of like-minded travelers living in the same building as you in their own apartments. So what happens is, while it is an independent experience and you have time to explore on your own, you also have friends living around you that might join in and jump in for certain activities or end up spontaneously organizing things as a community. That said, we also have our local community manager, in this case, Toby, who will be living in the same city as you, and we organizing different events and activities throughout the 2 weeks. And he's personally at these events and activities, but he's also there to support people to help them make the most of their time there. And we'll dive more into what that means in a bit. In addition to the activities and events and the local community manager and this community of friends living around you, you'll have your own individual apartment that is comfortable for 2 weeks. We also provide travel medical insurance as well as evacuation insurance. And if you're interested in wellness programs such as joining a gym or a yoga studio, our community manager can connect you to those kind of resources in the community so that you can maintain your own wellness program. All right, so that's sort of the overview. Now let's dive into some of these features. And let's start with London. Many of us have been to London before, but London, it's sort of paradoxical in my mind. At one time, it is so rooted in history and so rooted in tradition, but at the same time, it's such a dynamic and modern city, and there's so much happening. So there's sort of like these two things happening at once, which is one of the reasons I love London, and it makes it such an interesting place to explore for an extended period of time. Now, many of you who have been to London will be familiar with a lot of the standard tourist sites. I mean, there's so much to do and see. However, when you're there with the Good Life Abroad, you go a lot deeper because you have time to really immerse yourself. And so maybe, Toby, can you talk to the group a little bit about how people can go beyond just the tourist sites if they're with the Good Life Abroad?
Yes, I mean you're quite right. I mean, it's obviously a big global city like many others, but culturally it's very different. And I suppose you could almost equate it to being made up of different villages. And each sort of village has its own vibe, its own culture, its own history. So, although we do one or two things in the center, we also look at trying to just take you off the beaten track a bit, and it's sort of away from, as Andrew said, some of the tourist sites. So literally, I was with a group this morning, funny enough, from the Good Life Abroad, and we did a barge trip, which sounds a bit odd in London. But that was from Little Venice, but once again, nothing like the real Venice, from Regent's Park and up to Camden Town. But the guests loved it. They found it fascinating. It was sort of going through the industrial heritage, and how sort of London came to be. And that was fascinating, and they absolutely loved it. And very relaxing along the barge. Also, we get quite a lot of requests because people do have a bit of free time. So somebody was asking about church services, and there's a church service. You can go into the Tower of London. They have a chapel there, but not many people know about it. So you can do things like that. We also take you wine tasting, surprisingly, a little bit outside London to the English countryside. There are about 800 vineyards in England. So we just try and take you a little bit away from some of the things that are going on in London. But also we do visit some of the trendy wine spots, and bars in London as well. Not the ones generally that people go to, the tourists, but generally that sort of the locals go to. So, and obviously some traditional pubs in London as well. So it's literally you do get a complete cross section of London life. So yeah, that's
That's
about it.
great, Toby. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we hear sometimes on the phone when we're talking to people who are interested is like, oh, London, it just seems kind of intimidating. It's so big. But I like how you framed it as it's really a bunch of neighborhoods or villages, is what you said. And that, I don't know if maybe each day you can kind of like, today I'm going to explore this village, and then it becomes much more manageable. And I would guess that also by the end of it, the whole city feels a lot more manageable because like you really know your way around.
Yeah, and also, I mean, obviously, we're doing orienteering day as well, just to so people get the gist of how to travel around. But you see, I mean, there's so many restaurants, obviously, but I mean, theaters and museums will obviously give you advice as to what the best shows are, and those you sort of can sort of do at the weekends and outside the Good Life Abroad. So you literally have got so much opportunity here.
Yeah, I think it's also good to know what you said is because the Good Life Abroad is fundamentally an independent experience, right? You have a lot of time on your own, and we provide activities on most days. We do our Tuesday lunch club. We do Wednesday. We do some kind of cultural activity or tour, and Thursday we do our happy hour. But the rest of the time, you have time to explore. If you want to go to the some more known tourist activities, you have plenty of time to do that on your own. So we don't include those things because those are easy for people to do, and we can guide you to it. We want to provide access to things that are a little bit more off the beaten path. And also what you find is that your time in London or Edinburgh starts to fill up because your community, your group of friends is like, have all sorts of things that they're organizing on their own. Say, hey, who wants to go to this, theater event or to this concert? And suddenly your time starts to really fill up. So let's talk about where you'll live. So in London, in our short stay program, everyone will be in the same building, and it's a building of apart hotels. If you're not familiar with this concept, it's sort of like a hotel in that there's a lobby and a front desk and whatnot, and some communal hangout space. But instead of hotel rooms, they're apartments. And they're modern apartments. This building is just a few years old, so it's very modern and new, safe, clean, and it has an elevator. And what we really love about it, and you can kind of see it in this some of these photos, is there's a lot of communal space. Here, on the upper left, you see some tables, but also on the bottom right, you can see there's some like couches and benches. So it's a nice place where people can meet up in the morning to kind of plan their activities for the day, or at the end of a day, have a drink. There's a bar and kind of hang out and lounge, play cards, play games, and sort of meet up just to hang out with friends. And as you can see, the kitchen, there is a kitchenette as a two-burner stovetop induction stove, you have a kettle, all the crockery that you might need, a microwave. So you're able, it's great for making light meals. What we find typically is that people make breakfast at home and maybe go out for lunches. And if they have any leftovers, and then at night they might heat them up and make a salad or something light. So it's a great kitchenette for like light meals. I would say it's probably not for extravagant dinner parties or major cooking, but it's perfect for if you want to have some light meals and then spend time exploring and eating out across the city. This building, you can see the exterior of the building on the bottom left, is in the Paddington area. It's right by the Paddington Station. Toby, can you tell us a little bit about Paddington Station and why this is a unique location for this group?
Yeah, it's a perfect location because one, it's really quick to get from the airport. I think it's only about 30 minutes on the new Elizabeth line, so it's super quick to get there. But also it's although you're actually in the well, just more or less in the center of London, it's actually a very quiet area. There's some canals there. The barge trip I did was literally 5 minutes from there. And so it's really peaceful, but at the same time, the loads of sort of bars and restaurants literally within 5, 10 minutes, and coffee shops where you can sit and have a coffee in the morning overlooking the canal. So it's a lovely location for that. And then literally you could walk to Hyde Park there, you can see, which is pretty short. And then if you have time or you want to do any sort of quick trip of the weekend, I mean, you're about an hour from Oxford. Windsor Castle is super quick from Paddington Station. So you're really close to, and the Cotswolds as well, to Bath, about an hour and a half. So in terms of transport, it's perfect. And then obviously you've got the tube, and then you're connected to any parts of central London, literally within, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes from there. So yeah, great location.
Yeah, I think that's an important point that you made, Toby, is, London is a big city, and so getting around, you will require taking the tube places and getting around the city, public transit in general. And I believe we actually show them how the system works during the orientation period.
Yeah.
So what's great is that there's different tube lines. If you're not familiar with the system in London, there's different lines, but I believe at Paddington Station, many of the lines cross through there. So that is like the easiest place to connect to anywhere you want to get to in London City. Um, yeah, the other thing found interesting about Paddington when I was checking out the location for our program, it seems to have been recently redeveloped, that area. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, so I mean, literally in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, there literally it was just industrial sort of grounds, etc. So it is very new. That there are quite a few sort of businesses, tech businesses, music businesses that are set up there. So there's a nice sort of mixture. So it is quite modern, and hence you can tell by the apartments, which are super modern. So the area has a nice vibe in it, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, that's what I think I loved about it. It was a modern, clean, safe vibe, but then you can walk to like these canals, which are, have like history behind them, walk to Hyde Park, like super traditional. I walked to Marylebone and it's like, I love that area too. Feels very old British. So I like that location a lot. The weather, many people say, oh, London weather, but um, it's not as dire as one might think. So obviously the summer months, July and August, are kind of the peak weather, but we don't run programs at that time because it just becomes so packed with tourists at that time. And our people with a good life abroad tend to prefer the shoulder season, sort of that April, May, September, October time period. So we tend to focus on there. So while you're not getting peak temperatures, you're also not getting peak tourist crowds, and that's very intentional from us. And as Toby talked about a little bit, there's so many getaways. I mean, really easy day trips, and being at Paddington makes it really easy to get out to these places very quickly. Also, if you wanted to do a weekend getaway from London, you can also go take the train, the high-speed train to Paris if you wanted to spend the weekend. I mean, you can do a weekend getaway. So many different parts of England as well. Very easy to do. Um, all right, so let's move on to Edinburgh. We have two destinations in this webinar, so we got to keep moving quickly, otherwise we're going to run out of time. So let's talk about Edinburgh. Uh, you know, when I'm there, I think Harry Potter. I don't know. That's like what it goes through my mind. This, amazing architecture, but there's so much more to the city than just, uh, old stuff. I mean, there's beautiful, nature is beautiful, the old world charm. But I think for me, what makes it really special is the people. The people are just really, I don't know how to describe it, but warm and welcoming and sort of jovial. So I love Edinburgh. I love Scotland in general, but I love Edinburgh for the people. Obviously, the beautiful setting doesn't hurt. What do you love about Edinburgh, Toby?
You're quite right. I mean, culturally, it's incredible. I mean, there is just so much history in quite a small area in terms of the city, but it's actually the enjoyment comes from the eating and the drinking, and in the restaurants. I mean, that there is such a buzz, and also the music as well. There's some great little lively bars with Scottish music. So
Mm,
it's the feel for the place. I mean, the history is incredible. And I think when you spend time there, we'll obviously be exploring the history and the royal history there is amazing. So you do need to, and we will take you for some tours there, and also the underground life in Edinburgh. There's a whole new sort of more history behind some of the underground streets and tales of ghosts and myths, etc. So it is a fascinating um, almost a story really that you'll get to hear about Edinburgh. And then obviously relaxing in the evening. There's so much choice where we'll be spending time over the
yeah,
lunches and a few drams of whiskey in the evening. So
I like it.
it's a lot of fun.
So just
And
to
if you
point
are,
out, we'll
sorry,
show the apartments in a bit, but these are sort of with London, these are the kind of big tourist attractions. We're going to be staying in the Grass Market, which is right in this historical, part of town, right at the base of the Edinburgh Castle. Um, and these are things many people know about. But maybe Toby, can you talk about how, being with the Good Life Abroad, how we're going to try to take them a little bit beyond just the main tourist things that people might see on their own. Oops, let me go back here.
yeah. So in terms of we'll because some of the places are a little bit commercial, like particularly like the whiskey places. So we'll take you a little bit outside and take you to a distillery that actually makes whiskey, because a lot of the ones inside Edinburgh are sort of commercial that don't. So
Mm,
you'll actually see how they produce whiskey. You'll have a proper tasting at a working distillery. So a much more intimate experience. So that's, I suppose, what we aim for, and particularly some of the sort of walks we'll do will be small groups, will be a lot more intimate and a little bit away from the usual sort of tourist visits. And I mean, you have to see some of the history at Edinburgh Castle, and it's a question of choosing the time to go, because that's important, because these places do get a little bit busy. So we sort of curate times when it's not too busy to go there. So yeah, and then obviously, if you're interested in trips outside, we can plan that, particularly golf. I mean, as you know, Scotland's well known for golf. I think there are about 41 golf courses around Edinburgh. So if you have a passion for golf, I could spend a long time telling you which are the best golf courses to go to. So there is always that as well if you like golf.
more than just St. Andrews, huh?
Exactly.
Great. So, again, we're going to be staying in a new modern apart hotel. Again, similar, sort of like a hotel, but there are apartments. We have studios and one bedroom and two bedroom apartments here. And it's actually the same property management company as the one in London that we use. So it's the same standard. You can even see some of the bedding looks similar to the photos in the London page. And similar to the London property, it has a elevator, it's got a small gym, and it has common space. Again, we are all about community at the Good Life Abroad. This is not a tour, this is a community experience. And you could see there's sort of like couches and hangout and bar areas, again, for unwinding at the end of a day with new friends, or kind of meeting up in the morning and grabbing a bite before you head out for a day of adventuring. Um, and in both properties, I should mention, there's a laundry room with a washer and dryer, and I think it's like a euro or euro and a half to do the wash and to do the drying. So you don't have to overpack. You can do your laundry and put it in the dryer, get your clothes done, in about an hour or so, and then have time for adventuring. And just like in London, this has a very similar, in fact, the apartment layouts are identical. They're the same kitchen facilities, the sort of kitchenette, the two-burner stove, the crockery, the plates, forks, etc., microwave, and dishwasher in both of these facilities. So nice, clean, modern apartments.
Yeah, just it's also probably in one of the most beautiful squares in Scotland. Sorry, in Edinburgh, and literally views of the castle from there. So it is a perfect location.
Yeah, in fact, I will say that the studio apartments that we have in this building all have castle views from the window, which is pretty cool. I stayed in one, and it was kind of great to wake up in the morning and just look out and see it,
The
see a
castle.
real castle. Yeah, we're in Grassmarket area, which, as you can see, is right at the base of Edinburgh Castle. All this yellow sort of shops and restaurants and stores and bars. Really very central location. But I want to encourage people, yeah, this is sort of like very postcard Edinburgh, but there's so much more to the city. And as you walk out and explore, you'll get to see other parts of the city that I think are equally as interesting. As well. All right. So weather, again, as we know, it does rain, but we have our programs in Edinburgh in April and in October, which I believe are not the really rainy parts, Toby, are kind of before that time. Is that correct?
Yeah, and also you just can't tell nowadays.
Yeah.
So like in London now, with the group, we're having pretty mild, pleasant weather. So yeah, you can never tell. But like they say, it's not bad weather, it's sort of bad clothes. So you can always nip into a local pub and have a dram if the weather's
That
too bad.
sounds good. Um, and also, Edinburgh is very well connected. The train station is walking distance actually from the apartment building. I walked it myself with a suitcase and a carry-on suitcase and a backpack, and a lot very easy to get around. I don't know if you want to add anything about getaways, weekend getaways, or day trips, Toby.
Yeah, I mean, you're spoiled for choice there. Actually, you've literally within sort of an hour and a half can be into the Highlands, and you can either be in the Highlands, you can be by the sea. So you can even go and see try and find Loch Ness, which is in Inverness. So I mean, the scenery is outstanding. And to be honest, I'd well recommend a trip outside Edinburgh. Particularly probably St Andrews is beautiful. But for 2 weeks, yeah, I think it's be useful just to sit down and see what you like, and then we can sort of plan a trip around that and help you in terms of train journeys, etc. So I think a lot of it's based on, if you want to go and see another distillery outside Edinburgh, or to play golf, or to go on a hike or something. We can sort of find that out in the first day when you arrive, and sort of run through what you're particularly interested, or history, or all that kind of thing.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and on these programs, these are some of the types of events and activities that this is kind of mixed London and Edinburgh. Toby, do you want to call out any specific highlights that people might enjoy on either of these programs?
Yeah, I mean the we obviously do sort of a cooking class. So in London, we would do scone baking and learn about British tea, which people love. I think whiskey tasting goes without saying, and that's a very enjoyable activity, particularly some of the whiskies that perhaps people haven't heard about, and how they've made. Um, Pubs are class. You get all sorts of pubs. In London, particularly when we have some of the lunch groups. So yesterday we were in the very old, well, probably the oldest pub in London actually, which Charles Dickens used to frequent. So there's a lot of history behind some of the visits we do, and similarly in Scotland as well. Although Scotland probably would be more music based, which adds a bit of fun. Um, and so tours and uh, yeah, so in a couple of days' time, we're going to do a sort of William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens city tour in London. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that we plan to do.
And one of the things I want to mention to people, Toby's kind of hinting at it, but like our Tuesday lunch club is a tradition we have within our community and all Good Life Abroad program locations. But it's more than just a lunch. There's a lot of thought that goes into these Tuesday lunch clubs, and on one hand, it's about taking you to places or parts of the city that you may not go to on your own. Maybe either a restaurant you might not go to or a neighborhood you might not go to. And secondly, it's also a way of exposing you to the culture through its food. And so we're very intentional about, what kind of food is served and maybe exposing you to things that are new to you. And thirdly, as a community, we, as I mentioned previously, our activities tend to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you're free to go off and explore independently. So on Tuesday, when you come back, you meet up with your friends, like, hey, what have you been up to? It's a time for our community to reconnect and kind of learn what they've been up to, share tips, share stories. Oh my gosh, we went out to this town. It was amazing. Oh, great. Yeah. What do you recommend it? Yeah, you'll love it. So it's a nice time of like fellowship and coming together as a community. And usually our Thursday happy to 55 and older happy hour is great because it's a time also when people are talking about what they've planned and sharing what they're about to take off and do for the weekend. So these are nice traditions that we have within our program, but at the same time giving you a lot of time to explore independently. So I keep talking about community and community. What do we really mean by this? So I just want to be really crystal clear. So this program is cohort based. There's a certain start date of when a program begins. But before you even arrive, about a month, 30 days prior, we do a Zoom call with your community manager, in this case, Toby. But this is the case for all of our programs. And you meet the other people who are in your cohort. And you get together on Zoom. You could put a name and a face together. We talk a lot about sort of pre-departure and arrival day logistics. And then when you arrive, we get you checked into your apartment, get you settle in. You're usually very tired, but the next day we start with an orientation where everyone comes together. And the goal of the orientation is to empower you to be able to live like a local. Like, how do I take public transit? Where do I buy groceries? How do I get, things that I might need? What do I do for safety and security and health and all that stuff? Get you set up. It's short, it's sweet, and then we break. That night we have a welcome party, and then we kind of get into that cadence of the Tuesday lunch club, the Wednesday kind of cultural activity, the Thursday happy hours. But what happens is this community takes on a life of its own. And how does it do that? We use WhatsApp, which is a messaging app that pretty much everyone in Europe uses. But in the US, it's not as common. And here's just a screenshot on the right-hand side from Florence. It's just an example, but it works the same everywhere. There's an announcement channels. That's where our community manager tells you, hey, this is what's going on tomorrow, 10 a.m. Click the link, take you to the Google map, takes you exactly where you need to be. But then we have these groups below. And these groups are where our members, our community members, get to play. And whatever you're interested in, you could see member to member, sort of like whatever, free for all the members chatting. Solo Travelers Connect, that was for solo travelers. Some solo traveler created that and wanted to connect with the other solo travelers in the group. Running buddies, sometimes there's people who want to do fitness, who want to go for runs, who want to go to do yoga, book clubs. I've seen people create groups to host dinner parties, to do weekend getaways, to do who wants to go to the opera, and they coordinate based on these groups. So these groups are where you can meet other people who share certain affinities that you have. I've seen one for people who love history buffs, but also sports bars. I mean, you name it, the community creates a lot of their own activities. And so what you find is that these groups pop up, there's all sorts of things happening, and you're jumping in, and you could be as social or as independent as you want. And so And none of the activities that we organize are mandatory or obligatory. So it's really an independent experience where you have the control about how you want to build your own experience, but you have the support of our community manager and the community of fellow travel lovers around you. So it's a nice balance. Um, and then in terms of like who's in this actual community, on average, it's about 15 people. Sometimes it's smaller, 10, on the high end, 20. It's usually maxed out around 20. Um, the average, again, it's a distribution curve. It's about 67 and a half, but we have some people who are younger, some people who are older. But the thing that really binds them together is one, they love travel and they usually travel quite extensively. And so they now want to take their travels deeper. They've done the tours and the cruises where they visit many places across a period of time, but now they want to go a little deeper and really they value cultural immersion in one place and sort of slowing down, living like a local, enjoying place and in a more nuanced way, going beyond the tourist sites, really just kind of taking in the way of life in this place, which is a little different than just kind of being on a tour schedule where you're checking things off. Most of our people are from the US. We have some Canadians and some other folks who come in from other places. So that's the community. Toby, do you want to add anything to this kind of community aspect of our program?
No, I think it just probably it's amazing how quickly they all get on very quickly. The welcome drink kicks it off when people have had a couple of drinks. And then literally over lunch they start chatting about their plans and this group which arrived a couple of days ago already planning things together. So they're planning trips to the Cotswolds together. And it's amazing. And it's actually so rewarding to see them get on so well. And start planning things. And then they also sort of swap restaurants. So if somebody's been to a different restaurant, they'll tell somebody else that, they've just been to a local restaurant that's very nice. So it works really well actually. And then obviously they have their own time to do their own thing. And I think last weekend a couple of them went to Cotswolds, so they'll share their sort of stories and who they used and where they stayed, etc. So it works really well just in terms of networking where they've been. So yeah, and it's amazing how quickly they click.
Yeah, yeah. Community is sort of core and central to what we do. Um, but who makes the community function is our community manager, and that we're very intentional about the title of the people who run our programs. They're community managers because, again, being a community experience, this person, in this case, Toby, kind of shapes the community and kind of facilitates connection between people. And really, so I would say that community manager role is like wearing many different hats. Toby, I don't know if you agree with this, but on one hand, you're like the event organizer, but the other hand, you're also like sort of the concierge. Let me guide you. We're not booking things for you, but we're giving you guidance to do the things that you want to do. And you sort of hinted at this a little bit earlier, Toby, and I think it's really important. Is in the beginning of every Good Life Abroad program, our community manager sits down with each person or each couple one-on-one, says, hey, who are you and what do you want to do so you can get the most out of your month or your 2 weeks program in the city? And based on that, our community manager is going to help make a plan for you. Like, oh, I want to go to this town. In some places, in other non-English speaking places, people want to learn a foreign language. And these are things that we can then help connect people to. And also just learning about you. For example, I go to some of our cities and, our community managers know that I love jazz, and yeah, I can go on the internet, just like jazz clubs in a certain city, but what they know I love is kind of a little bit deeper. And so things like, oh, there's a student jazz recital at the local university happening that's open to the public. Wow, no, that's really cool. Or you're a golfer and you're like, okay, I know St. Andrews. Toby's like, aha, but I've got you. I can. So our community managers really have this like local expertise that help connect you beyond just going to TripAdvisor and reading reviews. Who knows who these people are? They don't know you, and they're just their opinion. But what I love about our community managers is they actually get to know you and want to support you and assist you to make the most of your experience, but based on who you are and what your interests are. Toby, do you want to add more to the community manager
Um,
role?
Yeah, because we're also available on WhatsApp. So Monday to Friday, we're available from 9 to 5. So literally in the first few days, we're pretty busy because people are asking all sorts of questions or want to check some plans. So I think, really helpful for people if they're not sure about something, or if they just get stuck. If they get stuck on the transport system or something like that, then they can just WhatsApp and we can sort of help them out. Or if they any sort of information they want, we're literally there Monday to Friday to help out. And then, yeah, as you said, on the one-to-ones, we try and balance because they'll say, well, I want to do this particular trip, so we'll probably do a bit more research if it's a particular tour that they want to do outside London, just to make sure and check the reviews. And also check if it's the right time to go. It's not going to be too busy, etc., etc. So I think we balance a lot of the experiences to make sure it's the right time and the right tour to do. Because some of them sound great, but then when you actually get into it, it's probably not that great. So we sort of, I suppose, sensor check some of the information, which I think saves and makes a much better time for you guys when you come over. Um, so yeah, so we're literally, as we sort of stressed right at the beginning, don't worry about bothering us if you want to know some information. We're there to help. So we can sort of help with anything within reason, of course.
Yeah, I think, yeah, to sum it up, I mean, it's really like having a local friend who's an expert on what's happening in town, who's available at the activities and events, but also through WhatsApp, text messaging during business hours, Monday through Friday, and is there to support you. And I've seen examples of our community members, oh, hey, I think I took the public transit in the wrong direction. What do I do? Right? It's like, oh yeah, no worries, go here, do this. I mean, so things happen. We're new to the city, but having a friend who's there and patient and helpful, it can really make the difference of your experience and help you really, learn how to live in that city successfully. So we love our community managers. They're what makes the Good Life Abroad so special. Um, you know, again, I think you're getting the sense of this, but the whole idea of the Good Life Abroad is that we provide this sort of scaffold. It's these activities and events that are sort of touch points for the community to come together. We provide the support from the community manager and the community of people, but then it's really up to each person to kind of create their own adventure, right? So everyone could have a completely different experience in the same city but they're all supported in the same way, and they all end up making friends and connections. So I think this is something I really want to kind of emphasize, that this is about you and how you want to experience a city, whether you're an art lover, an architecture buff, a historian, or a foodie like me. Um, you can have the ultimate experience in each of these cities because of the way this program is structured. Just another photo on the bottom right is again from the common space in the apartment buildings. So it's a nice, again, I love these buildings because it's easy to come together and hang out afterwards. I like to just, play cards at night and relax. Um, so just really think about, I think the most important advice I give people is think about what you want to get out of this, because this is not a tour. This is not like we're going to tell you what you're going to get, but having some thought about and some intentionality. I think that's a good word for this. It's like, what is your intention? What do you want to get out of this? Because this is something like you're going to get out of it as much as you put into it. And Toby is there to help, but he kind of wants to know like, what do you want and who are you? And if you don't know, I think like tours are great because then you could just sort of like get a quick sweeping view of everything. The other thing to consider in this program is there's a lot of walking and transportation and on the public transit because it's not a tour. We don't pick you up at a bus, take you here, take you there. We're say, hey, we're gonna meet at this place, and we're gonna have taught you about public transit, and there's gonna be other people in your group who can maybe go with, but it's an independent experience. And one of the other questions we get often is, can I have visitors come stay in our apartment? And the answer is yes, but they don't participate in the scheduled community activities. But again, there's so many spontaneous activities that happen within the community that, of course, they can go to those because those are the things that you're organizing amongst your friends. There is a sofa bed in the 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments. There is not a sofa bed in the studio. I should mention that. All right, so you heard all this. You're thinking, yeah, this sounds interesting. What's next? So if you're interested in booking, you can go to our website and click the Book Now button. All of the pricing is based on, do you want a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, how many people, what type of time of the year? There's many different variables that cause the pricing to change. So if you click there, you'll be able to see all the different options and you can choose one. Our program dates for 2026, you can see we have in April and September. And if you notice the dates, the Edinburgh Short Stay connects directly to the London Short Stay. And this is intentional because, we're at the Good Life Abroad, we're big fans of staying abroad for extended periods of time. Our month-long signature programs are signature because, it's 1 month, and we really think that's a great amount of time if you want to have an immersive experience and not just a cursory experience. So we really encourage people to connect these two programs. You do save $200 per person on your second program when you book more than one program at a time. In addition to connecting the short stays, we do have our month-long signature programs happening all over Europe. Now, they don't all perfectly line up dates, just like here, the 21st is sort of the transition day. But we have many programs throughout Europe that end maybe a couple days before, in which case you can spend a couple days touring about, traveling from one city to the next, and then connecting that. And again, you do get that $200 off per person on the second program when you're booking more than one program at a time. And to book, it's a $395 deposit per person. A month later, you pay 50%. And then 100 days prior to the start date is the remaining 50%. And as you can see, there's a cancellation policy where the closer you get to the start date, the less it's refundable. And this is why we do encourage people to purchase trip cancellation insurance if something were to come up. So that's sort of the payment schedule and the cancellation policy. This is all on our website as well, so you don't need to take notes as we talk. So we're getting to the time of Q&A. As I mentioned, we'll use the Q&A feature in the Zoom toolbar. So don't raise your hand, don't type in the chat, click Q&A and type your question in, and we'll get to as many questions as we can. We have a little bit of time here, and then we'll do as much as we can. If we don't get to your question, I'll tell you right now, or if your question is extremely specific to your case, please email our office, info, I-N-F-O, at thegoodlifeabroad.com. And one of our representatives can reply to you and give you a specific answer. We're going to focus on the most general questions that apply to most people. So let me stop the share here and let me open up some questions that will field to either myself or Toby. Hi, I'm hoping to do both short stays, Edinburgh and London consecutively. Will there be assistance in how to take the train to London? Toby, do you want to take that one?
Yes, they certainly will be. It's a very quick, I think it's about 4 hours, direct service straight into King's Cross. So and then you'd catch a short trip over to Paddington. So yep, we would help you to the train station. Would also sort of set up a link to book the train ticket on Trainline, and which all the guys are using now in London. So yeah, we would help you. Yeah.
Great. Is there London availability December 2025? We do not have a program this December in London. I'm sorry. If I have my own travel insurance policy, is the travel insurance deducted from the cost? No, it's just the trip. The travel medical insurance is just included, and it's not something we can reduce. It just is, and it's a nominal amount. Is this gay-friendly program? I think the one thing I want to say about our programs is they're extremely inclusive of everyone. And gay, straight, but I also want to say solo travelers and couples. It's not the dynamic like I've seen maybe on some tours where the couples do things and the solo travelers do things, or or whatever. It's what I found in our case, and maybe Toby, you can speak to your experience with our groups, is they're just very inclusive because they really see it as a community. It's solo, gay, straight, whatever. I found that it's very inclusive.
Yeah, I mean, we're on this particular group. We have so it's yeah, they're super friendly. Everybody gets on. They're all on the same objective. So it works really well.
This all sounds great. May I ask why two places are 2 weeks long and others are a month? So the truth is we have four different locations for short stays. We have, in addition to Edinburgh, London, we also have Nice, France, and Porto, Portugal, and we'll be expanding the portfolio of short stays. And we have other cities where our month-long signature programs. And why do we have that? Well, we've started out, and what we're known for is our month-long signature programs. But many people said to us, "Oh, do you have anything shorter? Either I can't." I don't have enough time. But also, what we found is a lot of people would do our month-long signature program and then want to travel on their own to get to know other cities in the region. For example, in our Lisbon program, we found many people were going to Porto afterwards and spending a lot of time there. So we said, why don't we just have um, shorter programs, or people could do a month in Lisbon, for example, or a month in London, and then do 2 weeks in Porto, and then have a 6 weeks very immersive program. So some cities just lend themselves better for us to do short stays or longer programs, and we're expanding our portfolio of cities in both of our product lines, both short stays and month long. Are some of the side trips that you discussed included? If not, can you share approximate the barge trip, for example? That sounds amazing. So let me say all the scheduled activities, the Tuesday Lunch Club, the barge trip that Toby is referring to is one of the activities that I think we do on Wednesday. Are these Wednesday cultural activities, cooking class, these tours, barge trips, when we go out to the winery, and our Thursday happy hours, those are all included in your program fee. Now, if there's other things you want to do, for example, I want to go to St. Andrews, that will help you kind of purchase the tickets and give you advice, but that is on your own. So there's some side trips. I want to go to Oxford. That's on your own. But everything that Toby has mentioned in terms of like the whiskey tasting and distilleries, those are included in the program fee. How much does the program cost? Joni, I would say go to the website, click the book now, because as I mentioned, there's so many variables. How many people, apartment size, which session dates, and you'll see it'll clearly lay out the cost per person for each of them. The neighborhood, the London apartment is in Paddington. What will optional side excursion be over the weekend? We don't have any at this time. We don't have any optional weekend tour that you can buy through us. The idea is that we'll guide you to do whatever kind of weekend excursion you want to do. We don't have an optional tour at this time that we would offer for sale to the group.
Sorry,
So
just saying quickly, Andrew.
yeah.
I do a sort of a separate Cambridge one, just
Okay.
because there's so much there. So if people are interested, I'd do a Cambridge one because there's so much to see
Yeah. That's great. I think she's also asking because in most of our month-long signature programs, we our community managers, we do have a weekend trip that we offer as an optional tour. So I think if we're going to offer Cambridge, that's great. I say it this time, but didn't realize that, so that's great. We'll do Cambridge for the London London program. Do we have availability? For availability, check the website. If it's not available, you can join the wait list, and if someone cancels, we can add you to that program. I think we definitely have availability for London 2026. The arrival times, departure times, it's random in terms of everyone arrives on the same start date, but at different times of the day. That's why the first day is sort of just arrival day and check-in. And then the second day, which is your first full day there, we start with orientation and the welcome party. If you take a trip to an area an hour and a half outside of town, would you need to rent a car to travel there? Toby, you want to take that one?
Yes, you can. But the transport system it works pretty well, particularly if you're based in Paddington, because you're so obviously close to the railway station there. So I'd probably always advise take the train. It's more relaxing, and then maybe a local cab. But generally, if you're going or if you're going to the Cotswolds, you'd meet up with a tour guide locally. I would probably say use local transport because it works pretty well. Unless you wanted to go somewhere pretty out of the way to visit friends or something, then you probably would need to rent a car. Yeah.
The community events, do they cost extra? No, they are all included. And we don't provide transportation because, again, this is not a tour. We teach you how to use public transportation, just like a local person to get to the activities. And so we provide clear instructions on how to get there, but you just take public transit to get there. What's the mix of singles and couples? I can speak to that in general. Every group is a little different. And so if you're planning to book, you can always ask our office and say, hey, I want to know the mix. But a typical group, if there's such a thing exists, is about 2/3 are people who are couples and a third are solo travelers. So maybe in a group of 16, you could imagine 6 couples, which is 12 people, and then 6 solo travelers to bring it to a total of, well, let's say that'd be 18, or 5 couples and 4 or 5 solo travelers. So it's usually that blend, like 2/3, 1/3. But again, it varies. We can't predict it from session to session. Do you find the studio apartments comfortable? I think for me, I turn the question back to you, which is if you can kind of wrap your head around the idea that it's different in Europe than it is in the US. In the US, we're used to like having big dinner parties and having people over and hanging out in our apartment. But often in Europe, it's like, oh, we meet up in a public space, in a pub, at a park, at a restaurant, and the hangouts happen outside of the apartment. If you're expecting to have like, friends come over in a studio apartment, it's gonna be too small. And frankly, it'll just be too small for you. But if you realize that I'm really gonna spend my time outside of my apartment, then a studio I think is just fine for a light breakfast, a light dinner, or you go out for dinner. But you have like your television area, couch, the kitchenette area, and the bedroom. I think for solo travelers, a studio apartment is perfect because it is less expensive, obviously, and it's perfectly suitable.
And Andrew, sorry, you've also got the community centers in these apartments. So there's room downstairs where people can like, if they're inviting friends over, they can meet up for a drink there and things.
Absolutely, that's a great point, Toby. So who's my contact after 5 p.m. and on weekends if we need help? So we just need to define what we mean by need help. If it is an emergency, you can call. If it is seriously an emergency, you can call. But an emergency is not what wine pairs well with this meal, or what is the best pub because I'm going out to dinner at 9 o'clock at night. That is not an emergency. Emergency is I'm in the hospital or something dreadfully wrong has happened, and it's a matter of health, safety, security. Then yes, we're there for you. But we just want to be very clear what constitutes an emergency. What size is the bed in the 1-bedroom apartments? These are European queen size beds. So they're like US queen size beds, but I believe it's just 2 centimeters shorter. It's but essentially a queen size bed. The washer dryer situation in both Edinburgh and London is that there's a laundry room in the building on the, I believe, main floor or in the basement area. And it's a pay thing where it's like €1, a pound, pound and a half to wash and to dry. And there's like big like industrial washer dryer machines, so you can do your laundry very easily for just a few pounds. Are we expanding short stays? Yeah, we have, as I mentioned, 4 short stay destinations now, and we will be adding more as we are. Maximum number of spots. It's not the number of spots in the city as much as it is the maximum number of apartments that we have available to us. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we have a certain allocation of studio 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments. And then the number of people depends more on how many people book. And if it's couples, then there's obviously more people. couple sharing a one-bedroom apartment or a two-bedroom apartment. So that it's not based on the number of people, just on the number of apartments. But the group size is going to be somewhere probably in the area of between 12 and 16 people is my guess. There are two bathrooms in the two-bedroom apartments. Um, so there's only two-bedroom apartments in Edinburgh, and there are two bathrooms, but one is en suite connected to the master, and the other is sort of a full bathroom, but it's accessible via the hallway. And so the second bedroom does not have a connecting bathroom to it. Um, Getting from the airport transfers. Yeah, in all of our programs, we tell people to just, in most cities, just hop in a cab, give them the address, they'll take you right to your apartment and you check in. I think in London, well, in Edinburgh, you could also just fly in pretty easily. The train station is very close, so you could actually walk as long as you don't overpack. And then London, I think, Toby, you were mentioning the train actually.
It's probably the best way because it comes straight into Paddington. And that's literally 30 minutes on the Elizabeth line. So that's be the preferred way to get into London, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us more about solo accommodations. So solo travelers have the same options as couples. I think what we find though is that solo travelers tend to prefer the studio apartments because it is a little less expensive. Um, but they can, if they wanted a one bedroom, they can book the one bedroom. It's completely up to them. If they want to book a two bedroom in London, or I'm sorry, in Edinburgh, not London, they're welcome to do that too. But the program is the same whether you're traveling solo and everyone is still in that same building. When will we release the fall 2027 dates? The great question. We are hoping to have those released by November 15th of this year. We will release the entire calendar for 2027. So please stay tuned for that. Best locations for those of limited mobility. Um, I would say contact our office to just learn a little bit more about what your mobility restrictions are. Um, Edinburgh is a bit hilly, so that's something to be aware of. London is going to require walking. However, I believe, Toby, can you speak to the accessibility? I think the tube stops are pretty accessible for the most part, but can you speak to that specifically?
Yeah, generally it's London's pretty good. It's upped its game in that regard. So that works pretty well. And in some cases, if somebody does get tired or is not feeling great, in London particularly, the Uber network, which is pretty cheap, works works really well actually. So people have on occasion use that instead of public transport to get around occasionally, and that works really well if you have slight issues there.
Great, thank you. Yeah, there's some questions here about expanding short stays. Yep, we're always adding new cities, so stay tuned. Solo travelers, couples, yep. Do you have presentations about other locations? So yeah, these webinars are great because we're talking directly to the person who's running the program. If you go to our website, there's an option that says travel resources on the main menu. And if you click on that and you scroll down, it says past webinars. And you can click to the past webinars and you see we've got them for almost all of the cities, well, for the vast majority of them. And you can watch one-on-one dialogue with our community manager. And often we have past participants from that program who are on that webinar as well. You can hear their experiences. So I encourage you to go to our website, travel resources, past webinars, and you can get in-depth information on almost all of our programs. How do I deal with local fund conversions, cash transfers? I think there across all of our cities, what I tell people is just use a local ATM machine. That'll get you the best. If you arrive with a suitcase full of dollars and go to a forex a foreign exchange bureau, you're not going to get as good. They often charge commissions, or the rates are not as good. They tend to be in the very touristy parts of town where they know these people are desperate to change their dollars. Whereas if you take your ATM card and you just withdraw the local currency, you tend to get a pretty good rate, the bank rate. And also, what I do at this point, I use credit cards for pretty much everything. Most places accept card. And when you check out, it often says, do you want to pay in dollars or in local currency? I choose the local currency, and that gives me the best exchange rate. Toby, any tips on currency exchange?
No, I think that's a bit. I mean, so many places now, in London, Edinburgh, take card, and even the Tube network. All you need is a cash card, credit card, and you don't even need to buy a special sort of 2 week travel card. You can just use your credit card for that. So it's by far the best option.
Yeah. Are you able to handle luggage transfers? There's many companies out there that do luggage transfer services. I think we have a partnership with one of them, or there's one of them that we can recommend. But I mean, there's many reputable ones out there where you'll basically pick up your bags from home and your bags will show up, and we can accommodate them because we are working with these apart hotels that have front desk and luggage storage facilities. So in both Edinburgh and London, we can work with luggage transfer. Are there different levels of accommodation, like luxury? Um, no, in these buildings, they sort of have what they have. If you're interested in joining, but you wanted to find your own accommodation outside of these properties, please contact our office and we can discuss that. Um, if that was something you were very keen to do. We'll be in Edinburgh during the Jewish High Holy Day season. Can you help us understand the synagogue options? Toby, can you speak to that?
Yes, we can certainly do that. I'd obviously have to do a bit of research, but yeah, that'd be no issue.
Yeah, there's very much a Jewish community in both London and Edinburgh, and not a problem there. Clinics and hospitals, yes, we've pre-identified clinics and hospitals that if something were to happen, which are near to you, we have a whole kind of emergency plan that we talk about in our orientation. What to do if you're sick or ill or injured. And yes, and both Edinburgh and London obviously are English speaking and therefore very easy to navigate the health system with. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Toby.
No, it works, particularly some of the private clinics around Paddington and obviously the Edinburgh site. Yeah, we would literally have leaflets or information there when you arrive, so you have all the contact numbers, and also a local pharmacy as well if you need to get any sort of local prescriptions or things like that. And then obviously a local hospital if anything else is required.
Yeah. A lot of unrest and volatility happening in the world today. How safe are these cities? Want to speak to safety?
London, Edinburgh, super safe. In terms of, you can travel around the tube at midnight. Okay, you might get some merry people after a night out, but generally they're very safe. But like in any city, you're always going to get the odd pickpocket. So, it's you just have to take care and be careful if you're carrying a phone, particularly. So like any big city, just be careful, but otherwise they're both super safe cities.
Yeah, and the thing I would add is, I mean, Toby mentioned like perhaps pickpockets, and we kind of show you how to be careful about that, but nothing like in the US, it's not like there's really armed violence is very unheard of. So there's not the guns and it's not violent in any way. If anything, it's just little petty theft in crowded places. And so we just tell people, put it in your front pocket, don't have your phone sticking out of your back pocket, some kind of common sense safety things. Um, Someone's asking about cost incentive if you brought a large group. I would say contact our office and we would talk specifically about that case. Someone asking about meeting up with Toby when they're in London, to contact our office about that. It's very specific. Airfare is not included. You book your own plane ticket. You arrive on the start date of the program and take a taxi from the airport or a train. Um, all right. There is a sofa bed. The studio, I believe, does not have a sofa bed for guests. So if it was someone like, one of your children who came to visit you, you'd be sharing a bed if you were in a studio. Um, Airfare question. Yeah, you plan your own air. We also have a partnership with a company, a company called Wings Travel. That's a full service white glove, excuse me, a white glove travel agency that can book your ticket for you. Once you book, we'll give you information about Wings Travel and that special partnership we have. But for the most part, people just book their own plane tickets. Edinburgh is correct. In Edinburgh, we have studios, one bedrooms, and two bedrooms. And in London, we only have studios and one bedrooms. We do not have two-bedroom apartments in London. There is not daily housekeeping, it's weekly housekeeping. If you're on the wait list for a studio, if you're on a wait list for solo, would be good to get on the list for a studio and a one bedroom. When you join the wait list, you're just joining the wait list for a specific session. When something opens up, we'll contact you and say, hey, this is open, whether it's a studio or one bedroom or whatever. We'll say, this is what's available. If you want it, I think we give you 48 hours to book it. Then we go to the next person on the wait list. More cities will be added in the coming year. Which city would you recommend for someone who's not an experienced international traveler? Toby?
Which city?
Yeah.
I think probably well, it depends if it's London, Edinburgh, but I think both of them because I mean they're both English speaking. So if you're worried about languages, I'd suppose London, London or Edinburgh. But I mean
I would say
Edinburgh's
Edinburgh because it's a little smaller,
a
right?
bit more intimate. Yeah,
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but to be honest, you see, London, is a big city, but also it does have its small community. So yeah, not probably not much in it actually.
Yeah. All right, we're well over our time. If we didn't get to your question, I apologize. You can contact our office, info@thegoodlifeabroad.com. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today, but I especially want to thank Toby. I know it's nighttime there. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to our
Thank you, Andrew.
travelers.
Okay,
All right, cheers.
thank
Or
you.
cheerio, or whatever you guys say. All right,
Cheers.
all right, take
Bye.
care, Toby. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.